This is a 45-minute class. It will be a vinyasa flow focused on releasing through your hips. So if you're following along with the playlist, go ahead and hit play. Make your way to Supta Baddha Konasana. So that means your feet are together, your knees are apart and open. You can take your hands wherever they're comfortable, one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, or arms overhead, or just rest the arms down by your side. You want to start right away to relax and release your hips. So this class here will follow along with the format of a regular vinyasa class, but I'll incorporate lots of hip stretches that I use for my Yoga for Runners class. And when we get to those deep hip releases, we'll be staying and holding those poses just a little bit longer and focusing on deep breathing. So right now, tune into that deep breath. Big inhales through your nose, and then exhale. And as you breathe in and out, notice where you're holding on to tension, especially in your hip area. And see if you can start to relax and release that. And if you can't do it right away, don't worry about it. We'll get to it as the class moves on. And after you bring some awareness into your hips, notice some other parts of your body, including your shoulders, your face muscles, and see if you can soften anything else right here. And go ahead and slowly start to take your feet so they're hip width apart and just rock and roll your knees side to side. So this will help to loosen up the lower back. And typically if you have tight hips, the lower back has some strain to it as well. Go ahead and hug your knees into your chest. And gently rock and roll yourself up. Cross your ankles and then make your way onto all fours. So however you need to get there. Once you're on all fours, draw some circles with your hips, getting some circulation through your hips and shoulders. Allow your wrists to move, loosening up your knees and ankles as well. So if you've been going the same direction, you can go ahead and switch it. Hip circles to the right and to the left. You can even make figure eights, just starting to feel into your hips. Give your body some freedom here to move in a way that feels good. Now tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And in this downward facing dog, bend your right knee and press your left heel down, deep stretch through the back side of your left leg. Then go ahead and switch. And then go ahead and switch it out a few more times, still keeping your hips lifted up and back. Just waking up the backs of your legs. Keep pressing between your thumb and forefinger. Feel the sides of your waist long right here. And then go ahead and walk your hands to your toes. So you come to the back edge of your mat. And then bounce your hips up and down a few times. Allow your head to be heavy here, and then play around with it. Alternate between bending the right knee and left knee. And eventually coming into ragdoll with your arms. So grabbing hold opposite elbow, opposite hand. Taking a few sways side to side. Feel your head, top of your head really heavy here. And then carefully release your hands. Walk your hands forward so you come again into a downward facing dog. Float your right leg. Bend your right knee and stack your right hip over top of your left hip, opening up into this three-legged dog, and start to draw big circles with that right knee. Whichever direction feels natural, that's the correct way to go. And if you want to explore with switching, going the opposite direction, feel free to do that. And after you do that a few times, stay in this three-legged open dog. Float the right knee up a little bit higher, press your left heel down a little bit lower, open up and create space, and breathe into that space you're creating. Carefully, slowly shift forward, pull your knee in towards your chin, and then set your right foot in between your hands. Stay propped up onto your fingertips, and go ahead and bounce your hips up and down a few times. Shift your hips forward and back a few times. Carefully drop your back knee, release your back foot, send your hips back, coming into a half split. So the more you flex the toes towards your shin, the deeper you'll feel it through the calf and the back side of your right leg. Try to keep your hips square here so your left hip is next to your right. And try not to scrunch up through your shoulders or through your neck. And carefully crawl your hands forward, tuck your back toes, and then step back into a high plank position. Big inhale. As you exhale, scoop your lower belly in and shift back into a downward facing dog. Do that same thing on the left side, so go ahead and float your left leg up, bend your left knee, peel your hips open, draw some circles with your left knee. Either direction, or you can play around with both directions. Just getting some movement, some fluidity into that left hip. And then hold it here with the left knee floating up a little bit higher, right heel pressing down. Big inhale. As you exhale, pull forward, knee to chin, foot in between your hands. Keep your back heel lifted. Prop up onto your fingertips and take a few small movements here, bouncing the hips up and down or forward and back. And then carefully releasing your back knee, drop your back foot, send your hips back, coming into a half split. And from this half split, go ahead and start to curl your fingertips forward. Step your left foot back to meet your right, shift back into a downward facing dog, and then float your heels high, bend your knees low, stepping your feet as many steps as you need to so they come in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen to a halfway lift, flat spine, then forward fold, release. Good. Go ahead and rise all the way up to standing. Take a big full body stretch, reach all 10 fingertips up, press into your heels. Then as you exhale, hands through heart center, trace your midline, forward fold. Inhale, lengthening halfway, crown of your head pulls forward, then plant your hands down, step your feet back one at a time, shift forward slightly, lower into a low plank, or you can come all the way down. Actually, yeah, go ahead and come all the way down. Take a baby cobra, big inhale, and then as you exhale, lower down, press back to a downward facing dog. Go ahead and lift your heels, bend your knees, step or hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, forward fold, release. Sun salutation, moving through that again. So same moves, focus a little bit more on the breath. So as you reach high, take a big inhale. And as you sink low, forward fold, exhale, release. Big inhale, lengthen, fill up on your halfway lift. And then as you plant your hands down, step your feet back, you take that exhale all the way down into your chaturanga, and then either baby cobra or upward facing dog. From upward facing dog, tuck your toes underneath you, hips go up and back into your downward facing dog. And continuing to fire up the body, go ahead and do that again. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step or hop your feet. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Forward fold, release. Big inhale, reach high. Exhale, sink low. Simple movements here, connecting movement and breath together. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Then as you exhale, hands go down, feet go back. Squeeze your elbows in tight towards your rib cage. Glide forward with the heart, back with your shoulders, and then make your way to downward facing dog. Breathe. And again, go ahead and lift your heels up. And then press your heels back down. Float your right leg, bend your right knee over top of your right hip over top of your left hip. And that three-legged open dog, you can stay here, or you can drop your right foot and come into a flip dog. So both heels are pressing down. Both heels are pressed up high, and you feel the entire front side of your body opening up. If you flipped your dog, go ahead and make your way back into a three-legged dog. And then from here, pull forward into a high plank, knee in between your hands, knee to the chest, foot in between your hands. Left hand stays flat and your right fingertips reach up. So this time, try to keep your back leg lifted. Your back heel is still lifted too. Yeah, if you want to take a few hip bounces up and down, go for it. Keep reaching that right hand up. Keep reaching so much that the upper body starts to lift and you come into this standing twist here with your left fingertips reaching forward, right fingertips reaching back. Twisting from the base of your spine all the way to the top of your head. Now reaching up with the left arm. Go ahead, reverse your warrior. Fill up with your inhale. Then as you exhale, place your hands down, step your foot back, high to low, upward facing dog. Empty out on your downward facing dog. Left leg floats up, peel up in your hips. Open hip, three-legged dog, stay here, or drop your back foot and come into a flip dog. Most people step their feet wider than they need to be, so make sure your feet are just hip width apart. Keep your head relaxed, keep your shoulders relaxed. Then go ahead and make your way back to your three-legged dog. And then as you pull forward, knee to chin, set your foot in between your hands. Right hand goes flat, left fingertips reach high. And on this one, people tend to have more of a narrow stance, so you can step your feet out a little bit wider. And after a few breaths here, keep reaching up with your left fingertips so much that the upper half of your body lifts up, and you come into this twisted crescent lunge. Fingertips reaching, left hand drops back behind you as the right arm reaches up. Reversing your crescent. And then go ahead and take your hands down, set your foot back, high to low plank. Big inhale with your upward facing dog, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Go ahead, lift your heels, bend your knees, step or float, feet come in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold, release. Now sink your hips low and reach your arms high so you come into this seated chair or Utkatasana pose. And in this Utkatasana, all the way into your heels, your hips are going back and then down, and your arms are reaching long overhead. So feel that opposing force, and then fold forward. Inhale, lengthen, halfway lift. Hands down, step, or you can hop your feet back so you land in Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale to your downward facing dog. Step your right foot in between your hands. Keep your back heel lifted and reach your arms high, coming into full expression of crescent lunge. And then open up into that twisted crescent lunge. And then go ahead and reverse it. And then take your hands down. So just speeding up those movements a little bit more. High plank to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Same thing left side. Left foot in between your hands. Reach up, full expression, crescent lunge. Press through your left heel. And then go ahead and open your arms, twisting right arm forward, left arm back. Take a big inhale as you reverse it. And then as you exhale, high plank to low plank. Inhale to your upward facing dog. And then exhale, tuck your toes, hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step or float your feet. Inhale, lengthen halfway, forward fold, release. Seated chair just for one breath, hips go low, arms reach high. Take a full inhale. And then as you exhale, forward fold, release. Head goes heavy. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Then find Chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Same sequence, focus on the breath this time now that you know the moves. Right foot in between your hands. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, twist it, left arm forward. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, high plank to low plank. Feel free to move faster or slower than my cues, whatever feels natural for your body. Inhale to your upward facing dog, and exhale to your downward facing dog. Left foot in between your hands. Inhale takes you high, crescent lunge. As you exhale, twist it out. Right arm forward, left arm back. Inhale, reverse, right arm stretches up and back. And then as you exhale, flow through high plank to low plank. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, empty out. Good. After a breath or two, go ahead and lift your heels, Bend your knees, step or float in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. We'll do that again. Hips go low, arms reach high. Then as you exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Find chaturanga. You can always skip this one, go to child's pose or hip pause. Go ahead back to your downward facing dog. Right foot comes in between your hands. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, twist. Inhale, reverse. And then as you exhale, hands go down, foot goes back, high plank to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left side, plant your left heel, reach your arms high, big inhale. Exhale, open up and twist. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, flow through high plank to your low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step or float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen halfway, and then forward fold, release. Hips low, arms high. Breathe in, fold forward, breathe out. Good. Go ahead and step your feet wide now in this forward fold. Your toes are turned out slightly, then drop your hips low, coming into Buddha squat. So in this Buddha squat, you have your elbows inside your thighs, and you can use that to press open your hips. Your hips should be pretty warm and loose by now. Palms are together at heart center. And this is a good time here just to close your eyes and feel your feet grounded into your mat or onto your surface. Good. With every exhale, release some tension that you feel in your hips. And very carefully, plant your hands down and then step your feet back, making your way into a downward facing dog. And then in this downward facing dog, again, go ahead and float your right leg high and go back to that open three-legged dog. Now, big inhale. As you exhale, pull forward, knee towards your chin. And then another big inhale, go all the way back, open up, three-legged dog, big range of motion right here. And then as you exhale, pull forward, squeeze all the air out, knee to chin. Send it back, open up, three-legged dog. Then as you exhale, pull forward, knee to chin. Good, go ahead and inhale, send it back, open up, three-legged dog. And then pull forward, knee to chin. Reach up into a crescent lunge. Open up into a twisted crescent lunge. Reverse. Now take your hands to either side of your right foot and float your back leg up so you come into a standing split. And in this standing split today, go ahead and bend your top knee and peel your hips open. Good, now from here, carefully set your left toes down and then drop onto your back knee, coming into a modified crescent lunge. And then reach, toe heel your right foot a little bit wider, and then reach your right hand inside your right thigh. Draw some circles with your hips right here. So really feel that right hip opening up right here. Yeah, the inside edge of your right foot is lifted. You're on the pinky toe side edge. Then after you roll it out a few times, just stay, breathe in to your right hip. Good, allow it to open up. Notice where you're feeling the resistance and see if you can let go and release some of that resistance you're feeling. Carefully start to toe heel your foot in a little bit closer towards the midline. And then flatten your back foot. So starting low, coming into a side angle. Your right toes are facing towards the front of the room, left toes more towards the side. And that right elbow, you can use it to press your right hip open, but you want to try to stack your left hip over your right. Keep your spine long so the top of your head is pulling forward. Left arm is reaching up. And in this one, feel free if you want to take a half bind or full bind, but I really want you to keep the focus on your right hip right now. And then after a few breaths, reach up to warrior two. So same position with your legs. Arms are reaching in opposite directions. And even though there's no connection with the hand or elbow to your right hip, still feel that sensation of it opening. Now inhale, reverse. And then as you exhale, hands go down. Step your foot back, high plank to low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Float your left leg up and then come into a three-legged dog with open hips. Utilizing the breath right here. So big inhale, fill up, and then as you exhale, squeeze all the air out, knee towards your chin, try to get it to touch your chin. Then send it back all the way open. Inhale, fill up. And then exhale, empty out as you squeeze the knee in towards your chin, shifting forward into a high plank position. Core is tight, shoulders are strong. Go ahead and inhale, send it back. Open up. Full breath in, and then full exhale out, knee to your chin. Good, one more time, biggest breath right here. Inhale, breathe in, fill up. And as you exhale, pull forward to a high plank, knee in towards your chin. Set your left foot in between your hands, and then come into a crescent lunge. Inhale, arms reach overhead, and then as you exhale, twist. Inhale, reverse, and then as you exhale, come into a standing split. Hands go down, and then your right leg floats up this time. And then feel free to open up your hips right here. You can bend either knee, but feel free to bend the top knee and then peel your left hip over top of your right hip. Again, listening to your body this entire time. Good. Go ahead and take a few more breaths here in your standing split. And then carefully set your right foot back. Coming into a modified crescent lunge. So drop your back knee, release your back foot. And then take your left hand to your left inner thigh, toe heel your foot a little bit wider. And then roll onto the pinky toe side edge of your left foot. The inside edge lifts up. Draw some circles with your left hip. Either direction is fine. It just helps to activate the release through your left hip. And then set your hands inside your left foot, setting up for side angle. And then when you're ready, your right fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. Use that left elbow to press your left hip open. Both legs are strong right here. Your core is tight. You want to feel both sides of your waist long. And then after a few breaths, press up to warrior two. Take a big inhale, flip your palm, reverse your warrior. And then place your hands down. Set your feet back. High plank to low plank. Inhale to your upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step or float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Forward fold, release. Back to your Utkatasana, seated chair. Hips go low, arms reach high. And then from here, moving into a balancing pose. So So go ahead and make a number 4 shape. All the weight goes into your left foot. You're going to take your right foot on top of your left thigh. And then open up your right hip. Your hands can be on your hips, or you can take your hands together to heart center into a prayer position. And then once you feel balance on that standing foot, go ahead and sink a little bit lower into your standing knee. Drop your hips low, and you can keep your arms reaching overhead, or you can keep them at heart center. And start to hinge forward from your waist slightly. And go to where you can and just keep breathing there. And with every exhale, you can sink a little bit deeper, focusing here on that right hip opening up. Good. And then slowly coming out of that, set your right foot down, take a big full body stretch. And go ahead and set up for your second side. So now the left foot, left ankle comes on top of your right thigh. Hands come to your hips or into prayer. Bend into your standing leg, hinge from your waist. Keep your core tight, keep your back flat. You can stay here, you can reach the arms overhead. You may even be able to connect the hands down to the floor. And then very carefully, very slowly easing out of that. Take a big full body stretch and then a forward fold release. Halfway lift, lengthen, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to your downward facing dog. And then go ahead and lift your heels. Bend your knees. Step or float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, flat spine. Exhale, forward fold release. Good. Go ahead and come all the way up to standing. And then from here, moving into eagle. So all the weight is now on your right foot. You'll take your left leg over and left arm under. Now connecting what you can with the hands. If you can, you hook your foot behind your calf. You also can take the hands to opposite shoulders here if your shoulders are particularly tight. But bend into your standing leg, sink your hips low. So similar to what we were doing before, you're balancing here. And then keep your arms hooked, unravel your legs, and kick your left foot back. So you come into this warrior 3 shape. It's a T shape with the body, but your arms are bound. Carefully, slowly drop your back foot, land in warrior 1, still with your eagle arms. Pull your left hip forward and right hip back. Good, and with your eagle arms, pull your forearms forward slightly. If you have the space, start to look up towards your fingertips. Maybe take a slight arch back. And then keep the arms. Go ahead and open up to a warrior 2 shape. Good, then take a few breaths here with the elbows moving up and down. Up on your inhales, I'll show you the facing forward. Up on your inhales, down with your exhales. Yeah, just a few times to loosen up through your shoulders, and then open up to warrior 2 shape and straighten your front leg. Coming into triangle, reach forward with your right arm and lower down as your left arm comes up. Keeping everything nice and flat here. So try to avoid your hips going back and your head going forward. Keep everything in the same line. Then go ahead and stand all the way up. Take your hands to your hips. Turn your toes in slightly. Hinge forward from your waist with a flat spine. Then go ahead into a forward fold. Your hands can connect to the floor. Maybe play around here with crawling your hands closer towards your heels. And just stay in this forward fold. I'm going to go ahead and press up into a headstand here. So if that's in your practice, you have some time here to go into it. I have the weight even between the top of my head and both of my hands. If this isn't in your practice, just stay in that forward fold. Headstand, release, lower down. And then from here, everybody, go ahead and take a big bend in your left knee and straighten out your right leg. As you do that, your left heel comes up slightly and your right toes float up naturally. Now you can do this a little bit higher. You don't have to go as low as I am. But then just go ahead and carefully switch over to the other side. So crawling over, bend your right knee, left toes flex up. Good, you should feel a nice stretch through the left inner thigh and your right hip. Breathing into whatever sensation you're experiencing right now. And staying low with the right leg, or staying low with the upper body, you're going to crawl over top of your right leg. You may need to adjust yours slightly because you want the right knee to stay over top of the right ankle. You don't want it coming forward. And keep your back heel lifted. And the back leg, the back knee can stay lifted, or you can drop it down. So coming into lizard. You can drop to one or both forearms. Try to keep everything facing forward here. We'll be holding this a little bit so you can really get deep into the release. And go ahead and drop your back knee. Release your back foot, toe heel your right foot wide. So you were here before. Go ahead back to it with the right hand pressing the right hip open. And then once you find that openness, go ahead and come to one or both forearms, or you can stay in long arms or just pressed into your palms. Just knowing what your body can do. And listening to your body, and keep breathing. If it feels really good, stay there. Another option is that you can crawl up and have your left hand down and your right arm reaches up and then hooks onto the foot behind you. So you're still getting that release through your right hip. You also get a pretty intense stretch through your left thigh. Whatever position you're in, go ahead and slowly start to release it. And make your way into a pyramid. Your right toes stay facing forward. Pull your back foot. So there's about 2 to 3 feet of space between your heels. Your back toes are at an angle, and your left hip is square next to your right hip. Upper body releases. Then start to float your back leg up into a standing split. Set your left foot next to your right. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, forward fold, release. Full body stretch, come all the way up. Reach your arms overhead. And then shift the weight onto your left foot. This time, you'll take the right leg over top of the left and the right arm underneath the left. So coming into eagle, hooking what you can with the hands, with the fingers. Then pull the forearms forward slightly. Bend into your standing leg a little bit deeper. Good, keeping everything facing forward. Now keep the arms hooked as they are. Unravel the legs and kick your right foot back. Coming into T shape with eagle arms. And then bend into your left knee. Land in warrior one shape with your legs. Right hip pulls forward, left hip presses back. It's my dog Myron. He makes a guest appearance sometimes. Good, press into both heels. Maybe take your eye gaze up towards your fingertips, or take a slight arch back. And then go ahead and open up into warrior two shape. Keep eagle arms. As you inhale, elbows lift up slightly. As you exhale, elbows lower down. Inhale, elbows lift. Exhale, lower down. Just a few inches up and down. Releasing some tension in your shoulders. Then go ahead and open up into warrior two shape. From here, straighten both legs. Reach the left arm forward. Right arm reaches up, triangle, Trikonasana. Eye gaze goes wherever it's comfortable, so towards the top fingertips or towards the bottom fingertips. It's up to you, but keep the core squeezing tight and use the muscles in your core to lift up. Take your hands to your hips. This time, turn your toes out slightly, and then bend your knees, drop your hips low. Getting into another deep hip release. So go to where you can with this, but go to your lowest point. And it's similar to Buddha squat, but your feet are a little bit wider and your hips aren't quite as low. I'm grabbing onto my ankles here, but you can grab onto your calves, knees, thighs. And I'm keeping my spine long and flat, and I'm just breathing into my hips. And then carefully release out of that, bend into your right knee and extend your left leg long. Coming into these side lunges, so a few breaths on this side, and then go ahead and switch up and over to the other side. And then after you take a few breaths, crawl the upper half of your body so it's facing forward. Hands will come inside your left foot, so widen your stance if you need to. And then you can stay on your palms. You can stay with your back knee lifted or down to the floor. And then drop to one or both elbows. So just explore a little bit. If you go somewhere and it feels like it's too much, just ease out of it. So you always have the freedom to go a little bit deeper, to come out of it a little bit. So it's a practice of listening to your body, becoming aware of those areas of tightness and tension, and utilizing your breath to release it. If your back knee's lifted, release it down. Toe heel your left foot a little bit wider. Left hand comes inside your left inner thigh. Roll out the hips a few times. Roll onto the pinky toe side edge of your left foot. And then drop to one or both forearms. Good, keep feeling your left hip pulling open. You can stay here or feel free to reach the left arm up and behind you and grab a hold of your back foot. And then wherever you are, start to transition into pyramid with the left toes facing forward, right toes at an angle. Right hip is next to your left hip. Upper body releases over top of your left leg, left thigh. And then go ahead and float your back leg, coming into a standing split. Opening up the hips if that feels good for you. And from your standing split, right foot steps next to your left foot. Inhale, flat spine, and then exhale, forward fold release. Go ahead and rise all the way up. Inhale, reach up with all 10 fingertips. Then as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen flat spine. Plant your hands, step or float your feet back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Empty out, downward facing dog. Good, now from here, walk your hands back to your feet and go ahead into Buddha squat. Toes are turned out slightly. Use the elbows to press your hips open, and then from here, just transitioning into a frog pose. So you're just coming forward, looking for 90-degree angles with the body, and then release your upper body wherever it can go. Maybe it's your hands or your forearms, or you come all the way down to your chest. You can also stack your palms, but focus on releasing inside of your hips and thighs right here. It's okay to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Just breathe through it. Know that you're releasing a lot of tightness, a lot of tension, and a lot of stress that gets trapped in your hips over time. It's totally normal to feel some release of emotions in some of these deep hip releases. And because this is a home yoga practice, you do have the freedom to sigh out whatever you need to sigh out, to make whatever faces, whatever noises you need to make, to really tap into that release. Go ahead and make your way out of frog, low and slow, and then however you need to get there, make your way onto your backside into a bridge. Feet are hip width apart. And press into your heels and lift your hips high. You can stay with your hands pressing flat, or feel free to interlace the hands underneath your tailbone. And feel the breath moving in and out of your body. Slowly release, lower down. Very similar to the balance pose you did standing. I'm going to do that again here. So this is a variation of half pigeon. The right foot comes on top of your left thigh. And you can reach inside and grab a hold of your left thigh and pull it in closer towards you. That right leg can stay bent or extend straight. Every body and everybody's a little bit different. So whatever you need to feel the stretch, again, keep focusing on releasing your right hip out and open. Everything else is extra. Then go ahead and plant your left foot down. Press back into a bridge position with the right foot still over top of your left thigh. So this one-legged bridge here with the right hip releasing. Good. Take a few breaths and then lower down. Plant your right foot. Left foot comes on top of your right thigh. And come into this half pigeon here. Option to reach in and pull your right thigh closer towards you. And then set your right foot down. Press into a bridge position with your left foot over top of your right thigh. Left knee, left hip, opening up and releasing. And then go ahead and lower down. You can go into bridge again, or if wheel is in your practice, you can plant your hands and press into a wheel. And then wheel or bridge, go ahead and lower down. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Start to rock and roll yourself forward and back, forward and back. Take this a few times so you get a nice release, nice massage through the spine. And once you gain some momentum, make your way to downward facing dog, crossing your ankles, stepping or hopping back. You can take a vinyasa, which is your high plank to low plank, or just press back into a downward facing dog. Then one last time, float your right leg up, peel open your hips into a three-legged dog, and then pull your right knee forward, come into half pigeon at the top of your mat. So that right foot goes wherever it's comfortable. You want to keep the right side of your right thigh parallel to the right edge of your mat. Again, don't worry so much about the lower half of your right leg. And keep your hips square. Your left hip is next to your right. Your upper body is releasing over top of your right thigh. Go to where you can. It's your palms, your elbows, or all the way down. And focus on that deep breathing here. Big inhales and big exhales. And then as you come up, you can stay in long arms. You can bend your back knee and hook that foot inside your left elbow. Right hand can lift up. Or you can keep the right hand connected to your mat. And carefully transitioning back into a downward facing dog. Shake out that right leg if needed. And then when you're ready, float your left leg up, bend your left knee. Big open three-legged dog. After a few breaths, when you feel ready, pull your left knee forward, left knee meets your left thumb, and come into a half pigeon, left side. Upper body releases. And again, just focusing on your breath with every inhale. Send that breath, send that energy, that oxygen into your left hip. Notice where you feel the tightness and tension. Exhale, release it out of your body. You can stay here, start to crawl to long arms. And you can stay or bend the back knee and catch a hold of your back foot, maybe with the hand or wrist or elbow. And then that left arm can float up. It can stay connected to the mat. And then from here, just go ahead and slide. Put the weight into your left hip and slide the right leg so it's straight out from your right hip. Foot is flexed. Your left foot meets the right inner thigh. Drop your right elbow down. Reach the left arm up and over, aiming towards your big toes. If you have that grip, take it. If not, just think the same direction, reaching up first and then over. Then go ahead and come up slightly. Square off your hips and shoulders towards your right leg and reach down towards your right foot. Flex the toes for a deeper stretch. And then go ahead and come up and switch sides. So the left leg is long, your right knee bends in, left elbow goes down and heavy, right arm reaches up and over. And then go ahead and come up. I'm getting distracted here with the puppy, but you go ahead and hinge forward, reach down towards your toes. And then go ahead and take your feet together, knees wide, butterfly position here. Walk your fingertips forward. We are just about done. From here, you are going to lower down onto your backside. And once you're on your backside, pull your knees into your chest. Happy baby feels really good right here. So you can reach inside or outside your feet and pull your knees down towards your shoulders for one last little hip release. I can't quite do it because Myron's crawling all over top of me, but you go ahead and take happy baby. Up, here we go. I get a few breaths in happy baby. And then go ahead and hug your knees into your chest. If you need to take any side twists, inversions, go ahead for it. But I'm going to wrap things up right here with Shavasana. Close your eyes, relax, release. Namaste.